Welcome, builders of the internet! My name is Jessa and I work in construction. As you may have seen in my other videos, I've lately been in the process of renovating my first home. So today I thought I would talk about ways that I've learned to help make a small bathroom look and feel bigger. As always, you can find my timestamps and sources in the description.
It's building on my mind.
Tip number 1. Use less contrasting colour palettes. The typical recommendation to make a bathroom feel bigger is using light or white tones, which can help make a space feel airy, especially if you have a window that helps provide natural light into the space. You can use dark colours too though. They could add depth and create the illusion of a larger space, especially for bathrooms without windows, which are naturally darker anyways. Whichever palette you decide to choose, using glossy finishes such as high gloss paint to the walls and the ceilings or glossy tiles helps to reflect the light and makes the space feel bigger. If you've chosen tiling, it's good to have painted areas such as on the walls or ceilings being as closely blended to the other colours as possible. Lots of contrast, say if the walls are dark blue with a white ceiling, can make the ceiling feel low, more pronounced and noticeable. Tip number 2. Clever tiling choice. I think a lot of sources say different things about tiling. Some places say to choose large tiles, some say small tiles, but I think the reality is that different sizes can work if you're clever about how you go about doing it. You have to think about whether you want tiling that goes all the way up to the ceiling, or if you would prefer half height, or what you think would work better in terms of patterns. This also relates back to the first tip, where if you choose colours that complement or even match the ceiling and the wall paint colour, it can help create a more cohesive feel and the space can be perceived as larger. From a cost perspective though, tiling is more expensive than paint, so if you choose really small tiles or if you want the tiling to go all the way up to the ceiling, you have more tiling work to do and therefore you may end up having to spend more money. Large tiles can work pretty well to make the space feel less chaotic and more calming, but if you choose ones that are really huge, say more than 1 metre wide, this can result in a lot of cuts needing to be made and you might generate a lot of waste. I think with tiles that are too big, sometimes it's a bit harder to establish what exactly the arrangement is of the tile. Say if it's 1 metre wide and your bathroom is only 1.5 metres wide, then you only have room for 1.5 tiles across. This might mean that you end up with one big huge tile and a thinner smaller one right next to it, which is not necessarily as nice a pattern compared to having a smaller tile in a neater arrangement. Small tiles can work really well, especially with light colours and simplistic or having limited or no patterns at all. Sometimes using mosaic walls as a small feature around the basin can work, or mini metro ones that look like shiny bricks. Things to try and avoid would be having lots of grouting lines everywhere. This makes the space look really busy and ultimately feeling smaller. Patterns also have the potential to make small bathrooms look really busy or like there's less space, so it's better to stay clear of ones that have a lot going on and a lot of small details. To be honest, when I was looking at all the pattern tiles on websites, it started giving me a bit of a headache when I scrolled for too long, just because there is so much going on. I think examples of better patterns for smaller bathrooms are, say, this chevron style or a similar herringbone style, staggered brick-looking effects or modular patterns, which are made up of different sized tiles. Another thing to consider with tiles is to try to get them to extend across more areas, say using the tiling for the bath panel or having the same floor tiling in the shower as the rest of the room. This helps create the illusion of more depth because it's harder to tell where the floor ends and the wall starts. It's all about creating cohesion with a less is more approach really. My personal preference is having a medium to large size tile, roughly 300 by 600 millimeters. These are pretty standard dimensions and the ratio of width to height is more visually pleasing to me compared to a longer, more narrow tile. I also liked having some kind of texture on the tiles, so it feels less clinical, say with a natural stone or a marble effect. Tip number 3. Large mirrors. Having big mirrors in the bathroom reflects lighting, enlarging the feel of the space and making it feel less cramped. You can put thought into where to place the mirrors too. If you have a window or a door that lets in light, then having a mirror opposite this will help amplify the natural light in the room. It also helps to have the mirror reflecting nice looking features, say the pretty tiling you've chosen, or a vase or potted plant, rather than something a bit more mundane like a toilet. If the ceiling height is relatively low, placing mirrors closer to the ceiling or even all the way up the wall can create the illusion of a bigger space. It could also be worth thinking of backlit lighting options, which can help amplify light even more in the bathroom, but with a simple and minimalistic approach. Tip number 4. Having a seamless shower and bath. You might be thinking of having a separate shower and bath, which could be more practical and maybe add to the desirability when you come to sell the place because there's more available. However, trying to fit too much into a small space will end up making it feel more cramped. People like feeling that they have a big impressive bathroom, so you could find a nice happy medium by choosing a shower bath, which is a bathtub with a shower screen to it. If you have a shower or a shower bath in the room, it's best to choose a frameless option for the shower screen. If you look at the difference between these two images, you can see how only having glazing is more invisible to the naked eye, so as to creating the feeling of more space. On the other hand, having framed screens can make the space feel busy. If you only choose neutral and similar colour palettes elsewhere in the bathroom, then having lots of chrome or dark black frames really draws your attention to it and can make it feel a bit busier. Potentially having an open concept shower door could work too to make the space feel bigger, but I personally don't like the opportunity for water to get all over a bathroom floor and having to dip my toes into water just to get to a toilet. If you have a bath or a shower bath instead, you might be able to find bath panels that fit the curvature of the bath, but it curves around the existing shape of the bath itself. This creates a bit more space in the room to make it feel bigger. The placement of a bath is pretty important too. When you're walking into a bathroom, it's better not to have a big old bath jutting right out in the corner of your eye, so trying to put it in a space where you're less likely to walk into it and see it makes the room feel more practical and bigger. Tip number 5. Have less clutter. My final piece of advice is to hide the clutter. Having lots of bottles and towels and bits and bobs scattered around can make the space feel pretty busy and messy. If you have cupboards with invisible handles or no handles at all, this can be one way to make things look less busy. Alternatively, if you have handles, towel rails or sinks, etc., it's good to make sure it's cohesive, so having all the same type of finish, like all chrome for example, for a more consistent and simplistic look. Wall-hung fittings, such as the vanity unit and the toilet, enable you to see the ground beneath it, which is a subtle way of making you feel like there's just that bit more room. Installing a wall-mounted faucet can also save you some space with your sink. Those few inches where the taps would be have now become extra space for you to move around in. This could even be paired with a long ledge or a shelf to put your essentials on. Again though, it is better to have less things visible and for things to look cohesive, so having matching bottles for your soaps, etc. can really work. The only thing that I think that shouldn't be freely suspended is the lights. Having low hung lights can be a bit intrusive and make the feelings feel lower. Another way to avoid clutter is having closed storage, i.e. solid doors that blend into the walls. This can be a really subtle solution and is better if you're a bit messy like me, because it's easier to hide things this way. Thanks for watching this video. I've really enjoyed spending hours poring over bathrooms for ideas for my new one, which I'm really excited for. If you want to see my house renovating process, check out my videos up here. Also, feel free to leave a comment if you have anything else to add, and subscribe for more because I'm trying to reach 1,000 before Christmas, which would really be awesome. But that's all I have to say for now. I hope it helped build on your mind.
Thanks for watching this channel, it's building on my mind. Check out my other videos, but first hit the bell and comment, like, subscribe. Please, everybody else with you.